The wind howled across the empty road, carrying the sharp scent of snow and distant smoke. Every evening, as the pale light faded behind the hills, a small girl waited beside a weathered stone. Her name was Elira. She had waited there for 3 long years. One of her eyes was deep forest green. The other was warm, amber brown. Villagers often whispered that such eyes belonged to children touched by fate, or by spirits that walked between worlds. But Elira did not care about whispers. She cared about one promise. Her father had knelt beside this very stone before leaving for war. He had placed a rough hand on her tiny shoulder and said softly, "If I return and cannot find you, I will search for you here." So she waited, through hunger, through winter storms, through nights when wolves howled in the dark forest. And then, one cold afternoon, the earth began to tremble. An army was approaching. Black banners moved through the falling snow. At their center rode the most feared ruler of the northern realm, the Wolf King Kaelor. People called him the Alpha Tyrant. They said he could become a wolf larger than any beast alive. They said mercy had long ago died in his heart. The villagers fled indoors, doors slammed, windows closed, but Elira stayed beside the stone. When the massive king rode past, his crimson cloak snapping in the wind, the little girl stepped forward. The soldiers gasped. Was she mad? Elira held out her small hand. Inside it rested a single dull coin, her last possession. "Mr. King," she said quietly, her breath turning to mist, "can you help me find my papa?" The road fell silent. Kaelor slowly turned his head, and when he looked into her strange, mismatched eyes, something inside him shattered. He had seen those eyes before. On the battlefield, on the face of the soldier who had thrown himself between Kaelor and a fatal blade, a man named Taran, a man who had died saving the king. Without a word, the terrifying ruler slid from his horse and knelt before the little girl. Shock rippled through the army. "I knew your father," Kaelor said softly. Then he lifted her into his arms. "You will not wait alone anymore." Life inside the great fortress changed after Elira arrived. The dark halls slowly filled with laughter. The child wandered everywhere, asking questions, feeding stray birds on the battlements, and staring curiously at the silent woman who lived in the southern tower, Princess Elira. She had been promised to King Kaelor after he conquered her homeland. She despised him, believing him nothing more than a cruel beast wearing a crown. But Elira saw something different. "You look lonely," the girl told her one evening. Elira almost laughed. "Your king destroyed my kingdom." Elira tilted her head. "Maybe, but he gave bread to the refugees today." And it was true. Since Elira's arrival, Kaelor had begun changing the kingdom. The whipping posts were torn down. The fortress gates opened for the hungry and the displaced. Kindness, it seemed, was spreading, but not everyone welcomed it. From the shadows, the king mother watched with cold fury. Mercy was weakness, and weakness would destroy the throne. So she devised a cruel plan. One night she approached Elira with a gentle smile. "I have news about your father," she whispered. "He lives. I can take you to him." Hope blazed in the girl's eyes. And so Elira followed her into the dark forest. But deep among the silent trees, the truth revealed itself. The Queen Mother lifted a bow. The arrowhead glinted in the moonlight, forged in the southern lands, a weapon meant to frame Princess Elira's people. Elira's heart pounded. "This isn't where my papa is," she whispered. The bowstring tightened. "Your death will start a war," the old queen said coldly. Then the night exploded. A monstrous wolf burst from the shadows, fur black as storm clouds, eyes blazing silver. King Kaelor. Behind him raced Elira, breathless with fear. The arrow flew. The wolf lunged, and the shaft meant for Elira buried itself deep in the king's side. A terrible howl shattered the forest. Days later, sunlight poured through the castle windows. Kaelor lay pale, but alive. Elira sat beside his bed, clutching his hand. "Is my papa coming?" she asked quietly. The king closed his eyes. "No," he said gently. "Your father cannot return." He paused, voice heavy with truth. "He died saving my life." Tears filled the girl's strange eyes. "But because of him, I found you." Kaelor squeezed her hand. "And now, I will protect you. Always." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then Elira leaned forward and hugged him. And near the doorway, Elira watched the scene with a soft, surprised smile. Perhaps the feared Wolf King had never truly been a monster. Perhaps he had simply been waiting for a small girl with 2 different eyes to remind him how to be human again. And in that ancient fortress of stone and shadow, a broken king, a wandering princess, and a patient child finally became something none of them had expected: a family.